The following are extracts from conversations I have had telepathically with Elphie, this beautiful being, and her friends, who have appeared to me several times now as a result of work I have been doing with the earth and the spirits of children. Here goes. You want to know whether we are real fairies or members of the elven inner earth civilization. Some of this you know. Elves retreated to the plains of inner earth after the major destructions took place above in the heavens and upon the surface. They folded themselves into a dimensional reality not accessible by yourselves. In that, they continue to flourish and multiply, but entirely separate from your earthly civilization. We have a part of that. Have you heard of the Antpeople? The Hopis speak of us. We are that. The antenna on our heads indicates this. Small, yes, and larger now too. We come in a few shapes and sizes and we move across the barriers. The Fae, gnomes, pixies, fairies, we bear those names. Now open your mind a little more. We're trying to bend it open to let you see more of what we are and how we work. A transitional reality such as you are currently living in bears multiple points of entry for us. We enter your world through the cameras you now hold in your pockets. They're able to see what your eyes have been trained to ignore. The tremors of spring when all that was asleep, sap, leaf, root, bud and blossom come rising back up through the twigs. We mess with that. We mess with the winds, the air, with the waters, the rain and with the soil populations. We create the atmospheres needed for the plants to grow. Think of your work as an adult parent. Your job is to provide the nourishment your children need. Food, clothing, warmth, interesting situations to challenge their intelligence and physicality, and the great warm blanket of love. With that given, your child flourishes. Take that away and they wither and die. First emotionally, then physically through disease and neglect. You may hold that a gardener is the one providing that for the plants in your world. Well, yes, indeed they do. But how many acres of land are managed by gardeners? How many billions of acres are left in their natural state? That is where we work. You may come to feel, and some of you see us in your gardens or in your farms if you treat the soil lovingly. We will show you how delighted we are at your sensitive choices. In the farms where the animals are still treated with love, we will accompany the farmers, whispering encouragement when they apply a natural fertilizer or stroke their cows and whisper sweet songs to them. And those farms may prosper and be valued by all who obtain their food from them. And then we have the wilds, the moors, the heaths, the forests, the marshes, the mountains, and the inaccessible valleys. There we dwell and work quite openly with animal and tree and plant and soil. We are saddened by the false winds which play across your world, the false waters which fall, and the false seeds which are set to grow. We rail at these, and we seek minds like yourselves to open windows into a better way of doing things. Now is the big turbulence. The world is turning over. The scrum to hold the power and the souls is very real. We are seeking to return to a more open management of the processes of nature, just as many of you seek to return to your full selves. Where there was once a dance between Fae and folk, a wall of resistant anger has been placed. People are angry when you even mention us, as you've seen recently with your video appearances. Many loved what you had to say. Many were challenged and sought to bring you to ridicule, fearful for maintaining their own sanity in the world gone mad. Science, the big trap of fearful minds, eager to comply with everyone else, too afraid to speak out. What we do when we do is bring things together. We monitor the soils. When we need new supplies, we call in the insects and arthropods with their chitinous composition and colour. Each brings a different mineral compilation to the soil when their small bodies die and decay. We can attract from a distance small herds of these beings to populate specific areas. We are balancers of this complex population. To water, We communicate as a living sentience. We know what capacity water has to store and bring information from place to place. We read the structure of the water to know where populations of specific beings are, to read the chemical balance, pH, and minerals in each place. This is our work. And our work direct with plants, with their growth and spread and harvests of flower, fruit, berry, and nut. We encourage a certain output, a certain reach, a certain spread. From what do we live, you ask? We do not need the industry and money systems of your surface. We have clothing and household goods. We have homes and schools and places of worship and greeting. Yes, we have buildings and cities and roads. Do we sleep in flowers curled up like small babies waiting to be soaked by the morning dew, as in your fairy stories? We have society. We live simply, but with intent and purpose. We were here first, earth caretakers, spinners of the natural world, our playthings, the plants and trees and animals. And do we speak and communicate with other members of the soil, you ask, with the rocks and the metals and the crystals? Each of these, with consciousness, speaks in its own way. Just as the whales, the great beasts of the ocean, hold great intelligence, populating the oceans for their own purpose of expansion. The memory holders of love and compassion, seeing the arc of human experience for what it has become, brief, yet holding true to the template for this world much as we do in our wild places. But the crystals are cosmic beings, dust of stars, miraculous flowerings of basic matter building, forming extraordinary shapes and flowers and colours deep within the soil. We're not of their realm, but like water, we correspond with their collective minds. They too store and amplify. The earth energy systems are based upon their populations. Nestled within her skin, the earth sanctuaries the crystal communities. Musical instruments of transmission, colours, density, formation, mineral content influence the song venturing forth from the earth herself. Her breath passes through their families and spreads out into the atmosphere, the soil being the skin on this drum. We speak and transmit through these crystal networks. The hyperspeed transport you've heard of is made possible by this energetic framework. Energy is both stored and released, and we borrow some of this as our vehicles pass each crystal bed by. Technology and us, a question you raise frequently. How do we integrate technology and nature? How do we speak with spirits of tree and plant? How do you? You set yourself to a quiet internal state of receptivity, and then from there, reach towards the living essence of whatever it is you wish to commune with. The resonance you tap into is your intention materialized. From that point, you can feel or clairaudiently hear or clairvoyantly see and receive information. We differ in that we see and hear more clearly. We have less disturbance in the transmission, as we can attune ourselves to the soul essence with greater ease. This is why we're difficult for you to see. We're attuned to a higher range on the electromagnetic frequency spectrum. But back to technology and us. For what do we use tech? Our vehicles. Some of our harvesting and food production is aided by this. You hear these terms, advanced civilizations, blanket assertions covering all, telling little. Our scale bewilders you still. Well, wait until you see more with your friend, and that will clear many of your mind muddles. So we move on to a second conversation where I asked, what is your relation to Christ? This was on the 22nd of December 2024. Christ, Christian philosophy, or Christ the Christos. Christos is light and elevation. I understand this essence. It is a cousin of ours, a relative of energy that we delight in. It is the normal place of a human before sacrifice was brought into the structure of your behavior. It is a light, soft interweaving of beings through the impulse, a generous, you want me to put that word in, impulse of the soul, the spirit. And yes, you see this from a feminine perspective. Let us see the Christos energy from the masculine perspective. It is the caregiver, the awareness holder, that which is protective, ensuring all is fair and good. And in the female, honour and esteem, awareness of detail, the details which bring a higher essence, an elevated essence to your lives. Whether it is in the presentation of food, or the dressing and the beauty, the physical beauty, or it is in the finesse of the emotional response delivery and a reaction awareness. The Christos energy is a very high, fine fibered essence. And this is just what you wish to return to. You ask about Yeshua. We know him. We know his friends. We know of them for the impact of the grace that was brought into the world at that time of their entry, many eons before you would acknowledge. They were brought here as travelling beings, speeding across, sent, allowed to be aware of the predicament facing this place as the separation was beginning. The elven kingdoms, moving inwards, the other intruders gathering hold, we'd call those the Nephilim, and there were other entities too, vying with them. Perhaps ones that we've never considered are friends. You'd call them the Draco initiatives, the Orion contingent. And the Spirit of Christ, embodied in the 11 beings sent, was sending themselves into this situation to calm, to remind, to hold the humans to their human selves. Yes, to bring forth the essence of the Christos, the Christ, again into the realm of living. They've come and gone and stayed as parentage. There is a shield of love, you would call it, in conjunction the relationship of the Christ energy and these beings to the earth. Let us look briefly, see if we can explain to you. This is how that erroneous story of the Mother, Father, God has been able to be taken up with so much fervour. The earth is a mother, cradling all the nourishment for your bodies, your entire existence of materiality incarnation, arising from her, and of course her proactive arrangements with the sun, allowing that radiative energy to change the molecules into things, the growing of the plants. Without plants there'd be no further life. Therefore there is always this interaction, conversation of sun and earth. The Christos energy and the sun, this has been confused together and merged. And there are reasons for the lightness of the, let's say the bright, is fairly similar. But what happened is the emergence of this Christos energy was through the portal of the sun. There must be a resonant energy. And where does the Christos, the Christ energy reside, you ask, don't you? For a moment, you saw it as a protective shield. There are many implications of this. Many people talk about a shield covering the earth. And there have been so many coverings of good and bad, interferences and reprogrammings. Let us look at this Christ shield that all and any may tap into for their soul structure. As you move in as a free moving soul incarnating here, perhaps you're traveling through galaxies or universes and you decide that the energy of this planet is something fascinating to you. You move through that field shield of the Christ energy and it turns this on in your system. There is a protective coating of these energy beings who literally spread around like great bodies, holding hands, touching around the globe. There is always option to reach towards that stratospheric layer and allow it through and activate the natural systems, you'd say the DNA of your body, to remind it. It is the memory holding, just as the whales are the memory holding of this energy, this higher level of harmony, peace, contentment, materialization in cooperation with the ocean, within the water. You may plug yourself, as it were, into the stream of both the reminding shield, the love, the peace, the strength, the seeming-miraculous, and the deep holding memory of calm and peace and contentment held by the whales. You may have both of these, or you connect into the earth, who also holds that which the whales seem to symbolize. She and the Christ essence are of resonance together. This is the Mother Mary myth origin, although of course there was a mother of the Christ when he incarnated. There are many of these, as I said. The 11 body you knew of. Each came through a human, and each of those humans they came through in connection to this essence of, let us call it, human perfection. And then I have a conversation about Christmas. I know it's January, but this was for my 3.5-year-old granddaughter, Ellie, who was asking me questions about what Elphie, the fairy and her friends do. And they talk about a sense of giving. The presence, a sense of awareness and respect and celebrating a person in who or what they are. These elements are part of us too. But you want to know whether we dance around a Christmas tree decorated, whether we decorate and celebrate, and whether we use these dates that you use. You're asking about these things? And I find it's very hard to speak as I am suffused with this very beautiful experience. My body melts and I move into a dimension of peace, harmony, love, coherence. And Elphie is using that experience in my body to put into words what they do. It's a delight, it's a peace, it's dynamic and passive at the same time. It's hard to describe. But you will have known it in your more transcendent experiences of meditation yourself. So as I look in this questioning with Elphie, she then shows me what they do. So they have this beautiful vision for their life, and there is an amplification of giving through a prayerful celebration where everyone gives to a person. It's more like a birthday celebration, to be honest, where all of these people, they give their energy to the wish, to the desire of the person they are celebrating. And that desire and wish is amplified through the pure submission of others to that goal and vision. The others might not even know what it is they're adding to. So it's a purely, let's say, generous submission of energy. But there is a merging and an expanding. So that for a moment, for a day, there is a potency of the field of manifestation, which becomes highly increased. And that is their present giving. That is their celebration. It's a bit like the Hema festival of giving at the naming of a baby. Very hard to look that up these days. Very beautiful celebration. And now I move on to the heavier meat that I was fascinated with and how Elphie appeared to me in the first place. And this is about the state of our world regarding human sacrifice, how to clear it and how to stop it. Have a conversation with my own full soul. I also have a conversation with Amma the Earth and with Elphie. So it's a little bit tricky to follow, but just feel along. And the text is there for you to read. Generally in the world, the ancient memory and burden of multiple layers of sacrifice was specifically designed to keep humanity down, to keep the earth's natural energy down, to encourage disconnect between the human soul and the earth's soul. Now, as we're coming into a more of an awakening realization as a humanity and we start to see things, people have been working over the last 100 years doing different healing work in these matters. But as more and more of us awaken to the integrative possibility, integrating the one with the other, the earth with the human with the natural planting and animals and elements and elementals, we start to become more of a system once more. The ancient storage of dark sacrificial practice was deliberately designed to hold down and reduce the frequency of the energetic atmosphere of the earth. We also know that there is a continuation. It's not just something residing in the past with memory. Even to this day, children and women are being hijacked, stolen, captured, deliberately bred for the purposes of sex slavery, for abhorrent practices related to increasing the darkness and the power of darkness. The fallen ones and children and adults are killed, tortured, and taken to astral planes where they should not be, and made to be hosts for entities as they're cracked open with their soul and psyche. The darkness of human sacrificial practice is ongoing. The question is, what do we do about it? There are people working to help folk recognize when things are going on, seeing them in families. Now, I've seen families where it's pretty obvious to me, but how can you do anything? These are well-known families, well-respected families, generally moneyed families. You can't just say, I feel there's sexual misconduct going on there. There is some splitting practice of the soul, although I do, and I have done. I've written reports to the effect. but not enough people understand this yet. There are elements of social power structure, the authorities, the police and judges, who are deeply involved in it, either through choice or more likely through blackmail. But the question is, what do we do and where do we start? Let's start from the consciousness level down. It's almost as though we say, right, the human system is still a mess, so let's connect into our full soul selves. And through that, let's connect with the Earth Star. That's a name Amir Jahangiri gives the Earth. I love it. Our very planet herself. As she's the holder of all of this and has to experience it upon her and within her. When we connect on that greater level of our soul, self, and the Earth, well, then we have a conversation and we see what we can find as the solution. So I go into a state where I command that my intelligence is activated as a translation system to bring forth energy and information beyond the normal calculable mind level. I make that very clear, and it needs to be information which is useful, good, and beautiful for humanity and the planet. So I speak here with Amma the Earth. She likes to be called Amma. And here she says, the rope of humanity is leading away from the days of chaos into something more hope, a river of light. The beam is shining stronger now. The fluctuation of release is a good thing. This idea spreading of releasing the pause, unblocking the pause, allowing forth the energy. This is good. We continue with this. Don't give up on that. Let us take briefly the dwelling of a perpetrator's home. Let us look at what it generates in the land around it. And let us see what can be activated to remove this harm from the system of life here. Yes, it is a kind of a dark earthquake, a ripple effect. The pond when you throw the stone in, and it does ripple out, concentrated in that spot, but rippling. What soul tools are available to you, you say, and what can we do together, myself, with yourself? At this point, I then go and ask my own soul. And I come forth with this information. The first thing I see is the elementals, the cloud beings, the wind, the waters in the sky, and to an extent the earth genius loci, the devic spirits of a place, the gnomish land spirits, those who look after specific earth points. And we say a prayer, my soul is saying this. Upon this earth, many dark, despicable deeds are done, are still carried out. I call to all the nature beings. I call to all the elemental beings affected and witnessing the darkness to turn over this darkness, to disrupt this dark practice wherever it may be. There are directed energy weapons of what we call the deep state, which have been designed to be specifically targeted to an individual, a vehicle, or a building. Let us now be specific in target to the dark one's practices and their dwellings. There are still some living on the surface. Elemental beings of wind, the air, of water, the clouds, the waters of earth, the rock, the soil, that which builds the roots, hold the foundations of the buildings. I call you now to awaken from a slumber in this department, and I call you now to remove, reduce, and restore these places to neutral, that no harm may be created there any longer. There is even bestiality. There are certain farms with animals. There are certain farms with humans. There are spots that I would never want to see. And I command now that the natural elements, the elemental beings, come to work now. And the reason I give is this. When we remove these dark practices and entities, the atmosphere in which you, the humans, the elementals, the inner earth beings, weave your energy is lighter and brighter. You win. We win. The earth may open up. Tremors may occur. Winds may tear at the buildings. Rain may drown them out. Whatever it requires to disrupt. There is power within the elemental group, and we know you are beings. You must know that too in all your awe and majesty. Understanding that one dwelling of darkness may be used as the center point from which many others spread out. Target yourselves there. Do not spread to the innocents. They must be guarded and protected, for they're already suffering from the miasma exuding from these centers. And so I finish that and speak to the earth again. And this is what she says. We have held back in our realms, caught in our own battles. We want to say, time is wearing thin. Now, I checked that on the Gematria site, and its Gematria says this for time is wearing thin. Artificial intelligence, heart attacks can be deadly, love is true might, unlimited knowledge, unforeseen problem, Q is lifting the veil, what is God telling me? Very, very soon, monarch programming, believe the unbelievable, love God, love people, solar eclipse wins, the code of completion, great awakening reset. Isn't that illuminating? As the earth says, time is wearing thin. And now I switch and I speak with Elphie about this. The taciturn days are over. The majority does need to accept. This is practicing dark, sacrificial, ongoing in many places. But once you accept it, acknowledge it, that's the clearing. How do you bring people to acceptance? They understand very much the stories within their own families of hidden information, that which was said and not said, that which was broadcast and shared to the world and not. The white hats have asked for revelations in certain key moments. It is what they have hoped for that to be the turning tide, for understanding to be accomplished, the understanding that is still to be found in this insidiousness within families, a browbeaten female or male. It's almost as if everyone will suddenly one day stand up and say, enough of this structural authoritarianism, enough of this telling me what I may do or may not do, and when I may do it, and how I must get paid for it, and what I must pay for it, enough of this. And how will that come about? It has been the secret hope for a while, yet understanding the frequency battles at war against this, so that the inversion prevails supported by all structures of the system. The money was one of the fastest to hold everything together like a glue. And Elphie ends there. So this is just an introduction to think, to feel, what can I do? How can I be involved? How can I connect to greater power? The power of, yes, the earth, the power of my full soul self, therefore the power of God, source energy, to influence the upliftment of the general atmosphere of our world so that goodness prevails and the darkness has to evaporate and leave. I am Dr. Isabel M.A. This is Activating Your Human Potential. You can contact me through my website, inspiration.biz, or on Gnostic TV, where I have several courses about your voice and about getting in contact to nature in all aspects of your life. You can have a direct transformative session with me where we investigate anything on your soul level or unusual experiences. I also work with children activating their connection to their soul and creativity through the power of imagination and all of the beautiful arts of voice and singing and acting, improvisation, storytelling and drawing. So there are many things that I am very happy to share with you all, and go forth with this message. Do comment as well, and now I'm encouraging people to like and share, and yes, to do that old thing of subscribe. I just presumed people would do that by themselves, but no, it seems that people like to be told what to do sometimes. I don't like telling people what to do. I'm more of an inspirational person. Inspiration is my work. Thank you.